What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be recapping the San Diego regionals that took place over the weekend. And again, it was the first regional in North America, 530 plus people. Again, best of 3 Swiss rounds, and then you had your top cut results. It took place over the course of Saturday and Sunday. And what we're going to be doing is noticing some trends, things that took place, the whole 9 yards. But basically, it came down to an exciting final between Jiseok and Chuppa, and it was a Dondozo team versus a non-Dondozo team. So go figure. At the very least, the fans were happy. At least, well, depending on who you were. It was not Dondozo prevailing. It was Jiseok's Baxcalibur squad able to take down Dondozo. We're going to be quickly recapping the finals in the next section of the video, but for the most part, yeah, some interesting results. The one that really stood out to me was the rain stuff, right? So, I always believed in the rain teams, right? And if you look here in the top cut, how many rain teams do we have with the Pelipper stuff? 1, 2, 3 down here. And then if you go up here, 4, 5, 6 rain teams in the top 32. So if you ask me what was like the most notable thing you got out of the regions, I just noticed 6 Pelipper Rain squads. We put Pelipper in the A tier. All right, some of you were a little bit questioning that, but I always believed, I knew that Pelipper was an A tier Pokemon. It just offers a lot, right? But again, more specifically, SALAMENCE. Okay, and I'm excited to talk about that one. But first, let's go and talk about the finals and just recap that real quick, because that's going to transition into some of our other topics and some of our other trends in the video. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Okay, before we show both of their teams on the screen, again, if you take a look here from VGC Pace Directory, we have access to all of the squads in terms of their Pokemon, movesets, and items. No EVs, of course, but we don't really need the EVs to create a discussion here. So if you want access to take a look at these teams, again, we'll put it in the link below. But make sure you follow Evan Smoke and the boys and the gals at VGC Pace. They do a lot of hard work for the community, and again, we have to give credit to them. Otherwise, this video is just not possible. So Evan, thank you very much. You've done great work, and it just helps a lot with team building and analyzing the meta overall. So definitely give them a follow, and definitely take a look at the directory because it just has all access to all these teams, and you're able to check them out without the EVs, of course. But you can just make your own EV screen, as I always say. So let's take a look at Jiseok's team. Again, he was the winner. It was Baxcalibur and Mimikyu Tauros. That was a very common core leading into the regional. Then you have Garganical, Gholdengo, and Meowscarada to fill in the other 3 slots. And then for Chuppa team, the runner-up, again, Dondozo Tatsugiri with Palmont Meowscarada. This was a popular core also with Dondozo Tatsugiri with the Palmont Meowscarada stuff. It was the Soak strat with Tatsugiri, so it makes a lot of sense. And then Arcanine, Assault Vest, and the Gholdengo here with the Light Orb. So before we talk about these 2 teams, again, just leading up into the regionals, if you were a player competing, the storyline was, what were you going to do against Dondozo? Okay, because that was figured to be the most popular oppressive archetype going into the regionals. So if your team did not have at least 2 answers, all right, 2 checks, okay, not just 1. I believe you need to have at least 2, 3 to be on the safe side. If you didn't have at least 2 to 3 checks to Dondozo, on your squad, you were not going to do well. And it's very evident in the top 32 results. And, you could just analyze them and see and pick it out. Play the little game. What were their checks to Dondozo? How many did they have? Okay. So without further ado, so Jiseok, basically to sum up the finals here, in the end, the answer was Intimidate. We have to go back to it. So if you look at the tournament in general, we'll talk more about the Tauros separately in another timestamp in the video. But the whole idea and what it came down to in a 3-set was that the Jiseok was able to pivot his Tauros against Chuppa's Dondozo and able to basically cycle those Intimidates and remove the attack boost from the Dondozo. And because the Dondozo was a yellow Tatsugiri, a speed boosting Tatsugiri, once you remove the attack boost, they were pretty much gone forever, right? And that was important because then the Dondozo's damage just wasn't really doing much. And then he was just able to wither it down and get the KO. How specifically? So the Meowscarada was the first initial weapon for that, right? Because what the Meowscarada is able to do against Dondozo is hit it for super effective damage with Flower Trick, right? That's one of your checks to Dondozo, check number 1. But what that did for Chuppa is he's saying on turn 1, okay, I can't just let my Dondozo die to this Meowscarada flower trick, so I'm going to Terra Dragon and not take super effective damage. But on the flip side, in the next phase, okay, so that actually helps Jiseok, because now as a Terra Dragon Dondozo, now the Baxcalibur has the advantage, because now you're able to go for either a Dragon move, super effective against that, or an Ice move, also super effective against that, and you know, he is a loaded dice set, right? So that Terra into Dragon helped Jiseok able to prevail over the Dondozo stuff, and then once the Tatsugiri was alone, it was just basically 2-on-1, 3-on-1, and you know, the Tatsugiri can't really do much there, right? So that's what it really came down to, and that's how he's able to beat it, right? He used the Meowscarada to bait the Terra Dragon, and then he used the Baxcalibur to clean things up, but also having the Tauros remove those attack boosts, able to pivot and cycle it in, so this way the Dondozo attack boosts were just completely gone, right? And once the Baxcalibur was in position, he finished it off, all right? And that was the case for 2 of the 3 games where Jiseok was able to win, right? So, and then from there, you know, now we just have to look at, you know, just like, where do we go from here? How did the rest of the tournament go? But I just wanted to quickly recap the finals and see, again, look, Jiseok, he has multiple checks to Dondozo. It wasn't just Meowscarada, all right? He has a lot of answers here. You could even, to an extent, argue that he had the Salt Cure Recover stuff, right? Even Mimikyu Life Orb, right? You're able to pressure the Dondozo with your fairy moves. And then the Baxcalibur, if it does Terra into a Dragon or a Flying type, you have the Baxcalibur Ice coverage for that. And the Tauros, again, is able to resist the water damage from Dondozo and is also able to Intimidate it and remove those attacks. All of these are Dondozo checks. He has like 5 of these. So it's actually really, really cool. And shout outs to Jiseok, man. Very excellent team building. Good sets. All right, and it was a fun match to watch, right? So now let's take a look at the rest of the tournament and let's see what kind of trends that we saw from there. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, so let's go back to the graphic for the top 32 for San Diego. And again, we'll start things off by talking about Pelipper Rain stuff. So yeah, man, I was saying it, Pelipper A tier, but more specifically, and I'm glad I called this correctly in my other video, the SALAMENCE Rain teams. Okay, we just had a video, you know, titled "What is Salamence's niche in the meta?" We got it right here. You know, we mentioned that, you know, overall Salamence doesn't do anything that the other dragons don't do better, right? So Salamence needed a different niche where it could do something different than the other 3 big dragons, meaning Dragonite, Hydreigon, and Garchomp. What can Salamence do better than the other 3? So if we take a look at some of this rain stuff, most specific, let's look at Azarelli's 3, right? Because I like his the most. And he definitely built with some of these other people, right? Because like if you look at Gavin Michael's team, it's pretty much the same 5, but he just has Dragonite in its place. And then also down here with Zekrom Seek, more or less the same formula, just a Dragonite in the Dragon slot. And then Cedric, he followed the formula, a very similar formula, Salamence there as well. But let's take a look at Azarelli's team. So again, Palafin, Pelipper, okay, you got your Rain setter, you got your Rain Sweeper, and then you have a Dragon on it, right? And we used Hydreigon on it, but the correct play now is actually Salamence with Life Orb, because what you're able to do is, again, you have those 100% accurate Hurricanes, they're a stat move, and you have a Life Orb with it, and now all of a sudden Salamence starts hitting hard, and it can hit harder than the other dragons because, you know, again, Hurricane just does a lot of damage, right? And it's really nice, it's really satisfying to hit 100% accurate Hurricanes with your Life Orb, right? And now you actually add Intimidate onto your team, which is actually very helpful because, you know, some of these teams, they were pretty much saying, okay, there's no more Intimidate, I don't have to use my amulet anymore, I can do something else. And Salamence said, aha, we caught you, okay? But it didn't come into play as much as I thought it would, right? If I'm looking at the results of the tour, but at the very least, you do have the Intimidate option. But and then you had like the double steel type on this team, right? With Gholdengo and King Gambit. Makes a lot of sense here. Again, the rain stuff is able to reduce fire damage against the steel coverage, steel typing, I should say. So they both enjoy the rain. And then, of course, the Mungus just helps you against the Trick Room stuff. And also note the haze on the Palafin. That also helps against Dondozo, right? So really cool use of Salamence here. And the Pelipper, it's a Damp Rock. This is the same set that we had when we made our rain team with Hydro Pump, Hurricane, Tailwind, and Wide Guard. Makes a lot of sense. The Wide Guard is very useful against other Gholdengos or other spread moves that other Pokemon want to go for. Rock Slide stuff, especially with like the Tyrannosaurus stuff. By the way, no sand teams in the top cut, by the way. If I go back to this graphic, do you guys see any Tyranitar Lycan Rock stuff? I do not. All right, so that's also another important aspect of the regional that I want to make note of. No Tyranitar stuff. Very, very interesting. Okay, so moving forward, if we just take a look at some of the other rain teams, let's look at Cedric's, and I believe it's more or less the same idea. Yep, see, Life Orb, Hurricane, Draco Meteor, Tailwind. Similar idea. He just has a Palmot over here. But again, you know, just in case your Pelipper goes down, you're able to revive it, which is actually kind of cool. And then you also do like super effective damage against like other rain teams, right? Which is actually nice. And then from here, this is a choice banded Palafin, no haze over here. But that's okay. You do have the Clear Smog Amoonguss. You have your own Salamence if they try to Terra Dragon. But, you know, and again, this is also a Wide Guard set with Helping Hand Eject Button. Ooh, that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. So yeah, let's look at another rain team. Let's look at Zekrom Zeeks because it's pretty much also the same besides the Dragonite here. So physical Dragonite with Dragon Claw, Terra Blast, E-Speed. You know, safety goggles here, very important. Helps against Amoonguss stuff. The Rocky Helmet Amoonguss is good for Maushold redirection. If the Population Bomb comes in, you're just able to force them to KO themselves, which is actually very, very satisfying. Scarf Gholdengo and Mystic Water Palafin. Oh, that's pretty cool. And there's the Haze again. Makes a lot of sense. All right. One more rain team that I want to take a look at over here. Oh, that one's interesting. There's no dragon there at all. But let's look at Gavin Michaels over here with his concept. I think it's pretty much the same idea. But this one is actually Dragonite with Hurricane, Draco Meteor. So same idea, but it's a mixed set. It's got E-Speed, so that's pretty cool. And then it's got Eject Pack, Leaf Storm, Amoonguss. So once you get the debuff from the Leaf Storm, you're able to repivot it out and bring in something else. Oh, I see the combination, right? Because then you can just bring in your Palafin again, right? So that's actually kind of cool. You know, I think he pulled off that combo. I'm not sure. I would have to ask him, but you know, that makes a lot of sense, right? If you like lead Pelipper Palafin, you're able to, you know, flip, you know, get out of there. And then if you bring in your Amoonguss, you could go for Leaf Storm one turn and then just bring in the Palafin, and now, you know, 0 to hero activates. That's actually kind of cool. I didn't think of that. So good job for Gavin there. Nice team building, by the way. All right, so brain teams were strong. Pelipper was really, really good in the regional. If you watch the matches on stream, like Hurricane, Hydro Pump stuff in the rain was so good. And very, very deserving of the top placements within the top 32. So if you're trying to build a rain team, all right, you got the formula, you have the new template. Pelipper with your 2 steel types, King Gambit and Gholdengo. You have your Amoonguss, you have the Palafin, and then pick a dragon. Do you want Salamence? Do you want Dragonite? Do you want Hydreigon? Okay, you know, and that's pretty much the general template right now for these tournament rain teams. All right, so let's keep moving forward. Okay, sticking with like the Baxcalibur Tauros theme. So just one thing to note, by the way, ignore this team in general. This is something I was doing in coaching. But I want to bring your attention to like this Baxcalibur set, and this is one thing I believe came into play against like Dondozo stuff. If you ever want to use it against Dondozo, this kind of spread. And the idea here with this spread, and I'm not saying the Dondozo team, the Baxcalibur teams in the tournament had this kind of spread, but the idea was to survive a Dondozo order up Terra Dragon, Adamant Nature 252. +1, and the reason why I gave it +1 rather than +2 is because you're pairing it with the Tauros on the team, so you're able to pivot it in, and then Baxcalibur would, you know, potentially stay in. And then if you were to take the Adamant 252 +1 order up, again with Terra Dragon, the goal is to survive, you know, with this much bulk. And again, I'm not saying that the Baxcaliburs had this exact EV spread, but again, this is one sample EV spread that I suspect some of the Baxcalibur teams were going for, where if they did have a Tauros on their team, is to be able to at least take one of those Adamant, you know, order ups. And this is why like this pairing is so good, right? Because you're able to keep dropping those attacks from Dondozo, and then the Baxcalibur is able to survive that attack and then apply pressure back with its Ice move or Dragon move, depending on its Terra type, right? And then you can see like even with this much attack investment, you're able to apply a good amount of pressure into Dondozo. The Glaive Rush, even if it's +2 and no defense bulk, it's still able to roughly do about 50% damage. It is a roll, but you can get a 2-hit KO. The Icicle Spear, if you are the loaded dice set, I put it to at least 4 hits rather than 5. Again, you're able to also deal about 50% damage. So that's also really nice. And then the Ice Shard, again, is just like good chip damage, but you know, just in general, it's also a pretty good move. You know, you're able to bypass these. You know, you're still dealing like super effective damage into the dragon typing despite the +2 in the defense mark, right? So good chip damage there, but you know, Icicle Spear, Loaded Dice, and Glaive Rush, they're going to do a lot of damage to potentially put the Dondozo in range next turn, right? And again, the Intimidate support is really, really nice. So, you know, that's the whole idea with Baxcalibur. And again, it does really well into stuff like Garchomp, stuff like Hydreigon, even stuff like Dragonite. That's primarily why it rose in usage, right? And of course, it also does well into Terra Dragon Dondozo, and even Terra Flying Dondozo for that matter, because the ice coverage is super effective against that. And the Tauros is really good against Dondozo because unless they're running Clear Amulet, that's the only one that they can have on the field. You can't have a Defiant Mon paired next to Dondozo because the Tatsugiri is already inside the Dondozo, unless you don't play the Tatsugiri immediately and you keep a Defiant Mon. So this way, you know, maybe stuff like the King Gambit can have some play with Dondozo, right? But I digress. All right, I was just showing you like a sample EV spread that you could do with Baxcalibur if you were to use it. I know, again, it did really well in this tournament, you know, for a good reason. You know, it just like, it was so good. Like, I'm glad to see it win, all right? And especially with the Tauros, all right? We'll just keep on going from here. Okay, so back to the regional top cut screen. So again, just like, again, the goal was like, how dominant was Dondozo going to be? All right, I know it reached the finals, but overall, like how much Dondozo top cut? Let's see. You had Emilio here, who went 10-0 in Swiss, by the way, very impressive. That's one Dondozo team. Chuppa, of course, the semifinals finalist. There's another one there. There's one down here, right, from Wolf Glick himself. That's 3. Zach Carlson at 4, and was that it? Yeah, it was. Okay, so 4. Did I miss one? 1, 2. Yeah, then 3, 4, 5. I missed Kyle right here. So of these 5 Dondozos, right, and I noticed something very interesting here. How many of them are the attack Dondozo and how many of them are the speed Dondozo? All right, so you have Kyle here with the pink. So there's a pink one here. There's an orange one here. But then there's a yellow one from Chuppa, another yellow one from Zach, and there's a yellow one from Wolf Glick, right? And so the idea is, if you're, let's look at wolves for a second. Yeah, here we go. So if you're the yellow Tatsugiri, right? And the idea is with the yellow one, you're getting the speed boost. So you have to figure, okay, I have a speed boost Tatsugiri, so now my Dondozo is getting the speed boost, right? And that matters a little bit, right? Because you have to try and outspeed some of these threats, like an opposing Meowscarada. Otherwise, they just go first and hit you with Flower Trick, and now you're in trouble, right? So speed boost Dondozo was an adaptation. And another adaptation was these Terra Flying Dondozos, all right? Because previously, you know, Terra Dragon or Terra Steel Dondozos were popular because, you know, with the Terra Steel, you're able to not get Clear Smog and you're able to resist the Meowscarada stuff. But as a result, then the Skeledurges with Terra Grass were, you know, doing a little bit better against the Steel types because you're a Fire type. So the adaptation now was Dondozos were going for Flying Terra, because now with Terra Blast and Terra Flying, the Skeledurge Terra Grass option doesn't work anymore. You're able to just smash them with Terra Blast. And the Meowscarada also is susceptible to that because your Flower Trick gets resisted and you also take super effective damage from Terra Blast. So the Terra Flying Dondozo, good adaptation there from those players. And I think Wolf is not the only one that had this. I think, no, Chuppa had the Terra Dragon one, right? I believe he did. Yeah, it was Terra Dragon with the Chesto set. Order up Rest. Okay, so when you click Rest, then you're able to not get, you know, remove your sleep status with the Chesto Berry. So that's very good recovery with Dondozo. So that was really nice. I saw it on stream. It's kind of cool. But this is why Meowscarada used Knockoff. Remove the berry first and then start clicking your Flower Tricks, right? So let me keep going down here with these other yellow Dondozos. Let's see. Okay, right here from Zach Carlson. Were you Terra Flying Dondozo? Where are you? Gholdengo. Yep. So another Terra Flying Dondozo over here with Terra Blast. So that was also, again, a popular choice. And I believe the next one was also, all right, from Kyle. Were you Terra Blast? Terra Flying? Terra Steel. So this was a Terra Steel with leftovers and rest. So again, still the Terra Steel Dondozos are still running around, but you know, Terra Flying Dondozo was a nice adaptation to see in the tournament. But it makes a lot of sense, right? Did Emilio have it? I don't remember. Let me see. Where are you, Dondozo? Oh yeah, so Emilio also has it. So 3 Terra Flying, Terra Blast Dondozo. So, you know, makes a lot of sense. Cool adaptation. And again, it did very well. So of the Dondozos, 3 out of 5. Pretty cool. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, back on the regional screen. So again, the next one I want to talk about is the rise of the Tauros. Okay, and also as a trend to that, how many Grimmsnarls do you see in the top cut, right? So let's see how many Tauros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 Tauros in the top 32. Okay, and how many Grimmsnarls do you see? 1 on this side, 1, and then on this side, 2, and that's it. Yeah, I think yeah, just 2. So of the 32, you only saw 2 Grimmsnarls and you saw 12 Tauroses. Coincidence? I don't think so. What does Tauros do? Raging Bull. What does Raging Bull do? Break screens. So, you know, if you're a Grimmsnarls team and you relied on screens and you went face to face with the Tauros, ouch, because then the Tauros is just able to KO you. But again, now with the Tauros Intimidate stuff, you're able to remove those attack boosts from Dondozo. It helps a little bit, right? And you're able to resist his water type attack. So makes a lot of sense. And then at the same time, you also put pressure against some of the fire types like Volcarona, like Rotom, like an Armarouge. Okay, these are all things that take super effective damage. And then like the Tyranitar Lycanroc stuff, you're able to either go for your water move or go for your fighting move. Okay, so that also makes a lot of sense. Same with like King Gambit. But again, with King Gambit, which is also very prevalent here, if you're just, you know, they get the Defiant boost and now they just start hitting very, very hard with like Sucker Punch stuff. But the Tauros did very well. And it's especially seen on the Baxcalibur teams. I think both of them together, they make a lot of sense. Along with Meowscarada to really take down Dondozo for the reasons we discussed in the other timestamp about the finals, where you're just able to force Terra, the Dondozo, into something that's not favorable, and then the Baxcalibur and the Tauros are just able to clean up the Dondozo, right? So that's the idea there. So Tauros was actually on the rise, so that's really, really cool. More so the water one than the fire one, right? Because the fire one just has like doesn't really do much except for like Will-O-Wisp, which is actually okay. But yeah, physical Tauros, you think of Urshifu because of the water fighting typing, but again, it just did really, really well. So glad to see Tauros. Sad for Grimmsnarl users, so they're gonna have to think of something else, and maybe Grimmsnarl as a whole might even just go down in usage. So we'll just see what happens going forward as we head into the next regional. But yeah, shoutouts to Tauros, man. Did very well in this tour. Okay, the next thing I also want to take note is the Murkrow stuff, right? Murkrow was another thing going into the tournament where like you had to be aware of, you had to have some kind of answer for. Well, look at the top 32. How many Murkrow teams did you see, or how many teams with Murkrow? You had one with Alberto over here. All right, anything else? Nothing. How about on this side? Just Pengy, aka Stefan Mott, the second one. So only 2 Murkrows, right? And this is top 32. Now, look at the Talonflames. How many Talonflames do you see in top 32? 1. Okay. Then there's a second. Oh, nope, just 1 on this side. All right, over here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 Talonflames versus 2 Murkrows. That is insane. And then if you look at top 16, this graphic, which is a little bit easier to see than the top 32 graphic, how many Murkrows do you see? None. All of the Murkrows are gone in the top 16. And how many Talonflames do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Talonflames in the top 16. 4 out of the 6 from the top 32. So it's interesting to note that Talonflame was the dominant Tailwind user. All right, at the end, when, you know, Murkrow is the one with Prankster. But specifically, there was a Talonflame set that was used more than once that was prevalent here, and I want to show you that. So to do that, we have to go back to the Pace repository. All right, and let me show you one of them. Let's look at James Beck's team. Okay, James had a very interesting Talonflame set. It was Life Orb, Terra Flying with Brave Bird, Flare Blitz, Tailwind, and Protect. All right, and he's not the only one that was running this. All right, let me bring your attention to, I believe, was it you that did it? Let me see. Or were you Covert Cloak? No, you were Bright Powder. Okay, no, that wasn't the one. Oh, right here, Brady. Yeah, Brady, you had it, right? I think I remember. Yeah, there you go, Brady. All right, Brave Bird, Flare Blitz, Tailwind, Protect. So another Tailwind, another Terra Flying Talonflame. So why was the Life Orb Talonflame on the rise here in this tour? Well, because unlike Murkrow, Talonflame with Life Orb and Protect can actually stay on the field longer, and it actually exerts offensive pressure because Murkrow, besides clicking like Haze and Taunt and Tailwind, what else are you doing? Not much. You're clicking Foul Play, and that is only very situational against like physical attackers. But the Talonflame, all right, you have Stab Brave Bird, does a lot of damage. Stab Flare Blitz with Life Orb, again, does a lot of damage. So not only do you have your support set with Tailwind, but now you have actual offensive pressure with a Life Orb because you're having to go for two big 100+ base power moves that do a lot of damage. So the Talonflame is able to, you know, help out its partner deal some damage, okay? Whereas the Murkrow, you're more supportive, a little bit more passive, you're clicking Tailwind, but that's pretty much it, other than like maybe Icy Wind. But these moves are not doing that much damage. So the Talonflame was able to thrive, at least within the top 16, because you're able to at least deal more damage. So it makes a lot of sense. And then, you know, just against the steel typing, right? You know, King Gambits, Scizors, Gholdengos, Talonflame does well into those things, right? Because you have fire type attacks. So makes a lot of sense. Nice to see Talonflame do really well in the top 16. Again, here are the results. And again, you're able to see this from VGC Pace. So thank you to them once again, Evan, and the guys and gals over there were able to make this very, very nicely look. But yeah, so Talonflame, will we see that moving forward? Who's to say? But in this tournament, it did better than Murkrow. All right, so let's keep on going. Okay, next thing I want to make note of is Maushold in this tournament. So Maushold was another big player because of just its population bomb nuke. But if you notice, not a lot of Maushold. There's some. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 Mausholds in the top 32, so not too bad. But if you look closer, the sets are very interesting. So let's go down here. Let's go with my boy Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan Zuniga. We featured him on the channel back in Sword and Shield. So Jonathan, he had Maushold with Super Fang and Encore. No population bomb. I want you to. I'm gonna repeat that. No population bomb. But he had Super Fang instead. Friend Guard 2, so this is a more supportive, bulkier set, and I can see the Rocky Helmet tech. So if there was like an opposing Maushold, he probably wins that matchup because of the Rocky Helmet. But Super Fang is interesting because you're able to just do like immediate chip damage, 50%, and not just die to Rocky Helmet. So I think that's kind of fine. And the Friend Guard is really helpful for its partners. You're just able to stay on the field longer, not take as much damage. You're able to redirect the damage as well. So yeah, that was the role of Maushold on his team. Cool concept. Then if you look above him from Joshua, who also had a Maushold, look at this set. Where is it? Right here. Super Fang again. And it's also Friend Guard. Terra Fairy, by the way. But of course, it's going to be beat up because you have the Annihilate stuff. So this way you're going to do like super big damage with the Rage Fist. But again, Friend Guard and Super Fang, another population bomb Maushold. All right. And then if I go up again here, the third one from C. Dawei. All right, finally we get a population bomb Maushold, and this one is a technician one, not a Friend Guard one. So this one is meant to do damage, but it's also meant to be supportive because you have beat up for the Annihilate, right, with the Rage Fist stuff. So that's also a common thing. By the way, Bright Powder Talonflame. That's gonna. I don't know about that one, but okay, I respect it. And then if you go to Pengy's team, Stefan Mott, again he also had the other Maushold team, and look what a surprise! Friend Guard, no population bomb, and it has. No Super Fang, by the way. It's Beat Up and Encore as the two interesting moves here. So Encore is really good. Of course, you're just able to trap them into clicking moves, and then they have to either switch into something that's not favorable. And of course, you have the Beat Up for the Annihilate stuff, right? So really, really cool to see the different Maushold set evolve. And again, 3 of the 4 were non-population bomb. I guess people got sick of just KOing their own Maushold because of a Rocky Helmet Amoonguss, or Rocky Helmet Volcarona, or Rocky Helmet something. All right, so they figured, I'm just not gonna use Population Bomb anymore. I'm just gonna go supportive with Friend Guard. I'm gonna make my allies do damage. I'm gonna help my Annihilate do damage, and that's my job on this team now, right? Not any more nuking stuff. And it's respectable, all right? And because of that, those were the Mausholds that top cut, where the Population Bomb, with the exception of 1 player, were not in the top cut. So take note of that, players, all right? So let's keep on going. Okay, so back on the tournament screen, and again, looking at the dragons, so we can see like there was quite a bit of Dragonite. There was a little bit of Garchomp, not as much as you would think. Maybe I think there's just like three, one, two, three. But the most popular one besides the Baxcalibur was the Hydreigon. So how many dragons did we see in the top 32? One, two, let's see. I think it's just two on this side. Okay, how about here? Three, four, five, six. So six Hydreigons, just like the Baxcalibur. So now Baxcalibur and Hydreigon are dead even. But what was the most popular Hydreigon set? Okay, so let's take a look here, and you can pretty much take a guess here. But if not, we'll start showing you. Oops, my phone once again. All right, so let's start from the bottom here. Let's look at for Hydreigon from James Beck. What kind of set he was running, and it was Scope Lens with Draco Meteor and Focus Energy. All right, so we talked about this set in another video, but this is a Dondozo counter because you know, in exchange for the boosts, Hydreigon is just able to crit through those boosts with Draco Meteor, Focus Energy stuff. You have a redirector to help you set it up, but this is one of your answers. So good stuff there from James. How about Joshua? All right, let's keep looking. Scope Lens, Draco Meteor, Focus Energy. All right, if this is not a foreshadowing, all right, I don't know what is, but again, you have a redirector with the Amoonguss to help you set it up. You also have a Maushold here. Okay, I'll go up more just to look at a couple more. Noah Bowman, Bowman, not sure. Hydrate, Scope Lens, Focus Energy. All right, and this one has a tech move of Heat Wave. There is a redirector, right? And I could look at the others, but you can pretty much see it's a common theme. But the most common Hydreigon set was the Focus Energy Draco Meteor set, right? Because again, it's just like you're a good answer to the Hydreigon stuff, Dondozo stuff. But you're most commonly gonna find them on, you know, redirectors with the Amoonguss or Maushold. You know, you're just able to help them set up much easier. So it does a lot. Okay, and you know, even with the reduction, you just don't care. You just crit anyway. Okay, so cool to see Hydreigon have a new dominant set as of right now. Before, you know, it was like Life Orb stuff, then Assault Vest stuff, you know, and then there was for a brief minute like the Choice Spec stuff. But finally, Hydreigon Scope Lens with Draco Meteor Focus Energy seems to be the dominant set right now. So if you want to try and Hydreigon stuff, you know, definitely give this one a try. Just make sure you have a redirector on your team. Okay, so that was a cool thing to note. James, but other than that, like, hold on. But like, there were some other Hydreigons that were like kind of crazy. Like, I think it was James that was running like a Scarf set. Yeah, James Evans. Okay, so James was running like a Scarf set with Snarl, and this was actually kind of funny. It's also pretty cool because like with Heat Wave, you're able to pressure the steel stuff like, you know, King Gambit or the Hydreigon, the Gholdengo stuff, and then you have like fast Snarls to like neuter those like special attackers like an Armor Rouge, like another Gholdengo, for example. So Snarl was actually really nice, and again with the Choice Scarf, you're just able to outspeed some of these big threats and really hit them first. So, you know, nice to see that. I would have never guessed Choice Scarf go this far, but yeah. How about Marco Martinez? Was it Scope Lens? Yep, again Scope Lens, Draco Meteor, Focus Energy. And then if I were to look at a couple more, oh no, that was it. Oh, right here, Alberto. What were you running? Life Orb. Okay, Life Orb set with Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, Terra Steel. So this makes sense. You know, this is also really good against the fairy stuff like Azumarill, like Grimmsnarl, like Sylveon. So that was their answer for that, because the Corviknight, although it is a Terra Steel type, there is no Steel move here. So you need something, you know, besides the Hydreigon for that. But technically, you also have the Gholdengo here. So very interesting to see the Terra Steel stuff. But makes a lot of sense. But again, the dominant set was the Focus Energy Draco Meteor stuff. So take it for what you will. All right, the next thing I want to point out is Gholdengo. Now, this is another one, just like Dondozo stuff. Another one of the like top 5 topics that you had to have something for is Gholdengo. Look at the top cut. Look how many Gholdengos there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 Gholdengos in the top cut. But specifically of the 19, more than half of them were a specific type of Gholdengo set, and I took a steady look at it. I looked at Brady's over here, and it's a pretty clear sample of what the others were in terms of like most popular sets. It was Leftovers Gholdengo, believe it or not, with Nasty Plot. That was the most popular set, and I'm using Brady's because he has like a full EV spread here. So Notice that it doesn't have any, it barely has any speed. Okay, first of all, that's probably because it's under Tailwind, and you can outspeed Dragapult, I believe, you know, with this Tailwind stuff. So then from there, it's just like, all right, you clearly are very bulky, okay, and you're giving up special attack because, you know, you have Nasty Plot, right? So you can always raise it up that way, but you have a lot of HP, you have some defense and a little bit of special defense. So this might be like for the mirror, for like an opposing Shadow Ball, but like this much physical bulk with this HP and 52 defense, that's probably for either something like Flare Blitz from something, or like Sucker Punch, or Meowscarada, knockoff Meowscarada, Dark Move, maybe even Garchomp Earthquake, maybe even Annihilate stuff. I don't know specifically what Brady was calculating for, but the idea is that this bulk was calced for something, okay? And the speed was not a problem because there was Tailwind. And again, you're just sacrificing your special attack stat in exchange to be bulky, staying on the field, and then keep clicking Make It Rain, and probably to survive a certain damage calc. If any of you know what the calc was with some of these leftover builds, let me know. But I would assume it's something like that. Either it's like for Garchomp, for Annihilate, something with Flare Blitz, an opposing Gholdengo, maybe even Life Orb Mimikyu Shadow Claw. That's also something that we also have to talk about in the next timestamp. But something was calced, because I'm looking at the spread, and you know, you don't go for this unless you're calcing for something. So I'm very curious as to what it was, but I think it was one of those that I just said. But if I'm wrong, oh well. But yeah, the point is, Leftovers Gholdengo was the most popular set of all the Gholdengos that you saw in the tournament. And again, you can go through all of them in the VGC Pace Depository and see, you know, what some of the other sets were. But of the 20 Gholdengos, Leftovers was the most popular set with Nasty Plot. Not Choice Specs, not Life Orb, it was Leftovers. All right, carrying on. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is the rise of Mimikyu. You knew Mimikyu was going to have an impact in this tournament, specifically on those Baxcalibur teams. But the question was, how big of an impact was it going to have, and was it used on other kinds of teams? Well, let's take a look here. How many Mimikyus in the top 32? You have one over here, two here, 3, 4, and then over here, let's see, 5, 6. Okay, yeah, 6 Mimikyus in the, that was it. Yeah, 6 Mimikyus. So of the 6, what kind of sets were they running? So let's take a look here back in the depository. If we look at some of the, here, let's start with Angel over here. If we take a look at his pace, all right, it was a Goggles Mimikyu set, not Life Orb, with Play Rough, Shadow Sneak, Trick Room, and Curse. So Trick Room, Curse, okay, that's a good set. And then if you look at the Baxcalibur teams, with Chase, for example, it was a Life Orb Mimikyu set with 3 attacks, Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, Play Rough, and Taunt. Okay, not Trick Room or not Protect, but Taunt. So that's another one. Then down here, if we look at Jiseok, again, he won the whole thing. So he was also Life Orb Mimikyu with Protect. Okay, and then if I go down a little more, let's look at Nora's over here. All right, with probably Life Orb. Yep, a Life Orb Mimikyu set here. 3 attacks and Protect. And let me just look at another one down here. Just for like keepsake. All right, let's look at Audie's with this one. And it was another Goggle set with Curse and Trick Room. So most popular sets, Curse and Trick Room. Why Curse and why Trick Room? So, you know, you're just able to get the advantage on like Dondozo stuff. If you can just curse the Dondozo while it has Tatsugiri, it's the only one that's going to be out there. And of course, it's going to be subjected to damage over time with Curse. So you can wither the Dondozo that way. That's the whole idea with Curse Trick Room. And then if you're having like a Life Orb set with like Jiseok, for example, with just 3 attacks and Protect, you're just meant to do a lot of damage. You can do big damage into stuff like Garchomp, the Hydreigons, the Dragonites with your fairy moves, and then your ghost stuff is nice against like the bulky Annihilates. It's also good against the Gholdengo stuff, and also even the Baxcaliburs to an extent, right? Because of your fairy type. So Mimikyu was a very, very nice choice in the tournament. So I'm glad to see that, you know, a Life Orb set was able to do really well. All right. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all the major topics I wanted to talk about. So like in summary, you know, Dondozo, although it did, you know, get some top cut results and it did make it into the finals overall, teams were ready. Teams were prepared for it. There was lots of checks to it. Intimidate is alive and well in Tauros, clearly. But it also offers a little bit more than just Intimidate, right? Because I feel like, you know, Intimidate in itself is weaker this generation because there's 2, you know, meta-defining Defiant Mons in like the King Gambit and the the Annihilate. So, and then you have the Clear Amulet item, right? So Intimidate itself is not good for that reason, and then there's other special attackers. But then the Pokemon with Intimidate has to offer something else to the table besides Intimidate. And the Tauros did just that, right? It's able to go for Raging Blow, break some screens. You have close combat to break steel types. And then the Intimidate was mainly for the Dondozo, okay? And then at the same time, you have like priority Aqua Jet stuff, right? And then even in SALAMENCE, right? The SALAMENCE Rain teams, SALAMENCE, yeah, the Intimidate was nice, but that's not really its job on that team, right? Its job was to apply pressure, you know, with Life Orb and take advantage of the rain and have like stab hurricane damage, right? So that was the advantage there. And speaking of SALAMENCE and rain teams, rain was the dominant weather. Clearly, there were 6 rain teams. You didn't see any sand team, and James was the only one with the snow team, right? So clearly, rain had its moments, and there's no Torkoal here. But as I say that, be ready for Torkoal in Series 2, right? Because all those Paradox Mons with Photosynthesis, they're going to come back, and Torkoal's going to be strong one more time. All right, and then Meowscarada, Gholdengo stuff, I mean, you know, besides Dondozo and besides like Baxcalibur, these were like the 2 strongest Mons. You had like 19 Dondozos and like 15 Meowscaradas in the top cut for good reason, right? Because they apply so much pressure, and the Meowscarada is in itself like a good Dondozo counter. All right, Mimikyu came alive, all right, you know, and you would think like more Zoom rules would come out, but you know, clearly Mimikyu was the more dominant fairy in this tournament, even more so than Sylveon, even despite the fact that there's like about 5 Sylveons. But Curse Mimikyu is a Dondozo counter, so that's also one way to look at it. And the Life Orb Mimikyu just applied so much pressure against like Annihilate and you know, the Gholdengos in general and the other dragons, right? So that's the main idea there. But you know, from here, you know, I wonder where we go from here. Yes, I think the next one's like Orlando, and I believe that's also Series 1 if I'm not mistaken. We're not quite in Series 2, you know, and again, correct me if I got that information wrong. But if Orlando is, you know, Series 1 still, I wonder where the meta can go from here. Because I think you'll still see more Baxcalibur, Tauros stuff. I think that's going to be a thing. And how do the Dondozo teams, you know, adapt even further, right? Do they still go for like Terra Flying, or do they go for Terra Steel or Terra Dragon? And who are the partners that are going to come with it besides Sylveon and Meowscarada? Because I noticed on these Dondozo top cut teams, Sylveon and Meowscarada was a common thing. I wonder if we can go forward from here. What about the Murkrow stuff? Murkrow, nowhere to be seen in the top 16. You know, is it Talonflame times to rise, right? You saw it here. But then the Dragons, you know, Hydreigon Scope Lens set was the clear winner. You know, Baxcaliburs come alive. There's still some Dragonites running around here and there. Garchomp is still okay. So, you know, you still have a variety in the Dragons. All right, Trick Room teams, not really too many of them still. It's just like an alternative to flip Tailwind teams upside their head, but there's no like hard Trick Room teams at all. I don't think you'll see that until next series where like the Iron Hand starts coming about, right? But that's all I got to say for these regionals. Let me know what you think of what we had to say, and let me know if you think I missed a couple things, because, you know, I can only say so much. You know, I tried to really analyze it and see and go through this stuff as much as possible and cover all the big topics. I may have left a few ones out, like even like these 2 Arcanines over here. They're both Assault Vest sets. Maybe that's something that could go forward with Arcanine, but I'm not even sure. So we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good one.